Hi guys, I'm just another guy named James, and today I'm going to be talking about the 5 post-crisis DC limited series or issues or stories that kind of just kicked off the post-crisis DC universe. And these stories are Batman Year 1, Man of Steel, Wonder Woman number 1, Flash number 1, and Green Lantern Emerald Dawn. First one of these I'm going to be talking about is Batman Year 1. Batman Year 1 basically just kind of, it covers the origin of Batman, the kind of the psyche, I guess, that got him there, and it also covers like how Bruce Wayne disguises himself and how he became Batman. It's very good. But the main character of Batman Year 1, I would actually say is Commissioner Gordon, who's not a commissioner, who's a lieutenant in this story. He might not be a lieutenant. He might become a lieutenant at the end. And Gotham is very corrupt in this story. Like, the mayor, the police commissioner, and the DA are all very corrupt. And so is the head of the lead detective on everything and the captain of the SWAT team. So everyone's a little bit corrupt. It's great. And Gordon is like the only one who's not corrupt. As far as, the law goes. They do show him to be a bit morally corrupt though, because he cheats on his wife, but they kind of deal with that well, because he confesses to his wife in there, and it's revealed at the end that they're kind of going to couples therapy, which is good. And yeah, and Gordon is good, and all the corrupt people don't like Gordon because he's good. And it's a tight story like that. And if you've ever seen Batman Begins, it's a lot like that. There's this one, if you like kind of the whole overarching character and psyche story, I would recommend the whole story. But if you just want a good issue where Batman is just Batman, Batman 406, Batman Year 1 Part 3, very good. He is in the issue before, the cops drop a bomb on a condemned building because Batman's hiding in it. Batman slips underground and survives, and then he comes back up to the building and takes out the SWAT team, and he punches a guy through a wall. It's pretty cool stuff. Anyway, now we're moving on to a much longer story, and I'm not gonna lie, it feels longer. Batman Year 1. I just talked about Batman Year 1. Man of Steel, Superman. And it's quite good. It takes a lot. It covers a lot more time than Batman Year 1. Batman Year 1 is about 4 months, which makes sense because comics come out once a month, so one came out every month, so it's 4 months. Man of Steel is years, and it starts with the prologue of the story is Krypton exploding and kind of the common origin of Superman, I guess you would call it. I don't know. And then then in this first issue you have Superman as he's becoming Superman, and as he's becoming the man who is Superman. It's very good, and he gets his costume at the end. It's great. And this issue is Lois Lane meeting Superman, and also Lois Lane meeting Clark Kent. This issue is Superman meeting Batman. This issue is Superman meeting Lex Luthor, and also showing that Clark and Lois are pretty close. This issue is Bizarro fighting Superman. It's okay. I'm not that big of a Bizarro fan, so I'm never gonna say it's the greatest thing ever. In this issue, it's Superman learning about Krypton, and also his girlfriend Lana Lang with a G shows up at the end, kind of talks to him because he just kind of leaves Smallville to go to Metropolis and doesn't tell anyone really. Alright, so that's those two. Then we've got Wonder Woman number 1, which is my least favorite out of all 5 of these, and I hate to say it was always kind of gonna be because Wonder Woman's my least favorite character out of these 5, but this comic is also just... The rest of these are long stories, except for this one. but this one just feels long. It's only 30 pages or so, but it's 32 pages. It feels so long. Yeah, because Wonder Woman is basically only in it for the last 5 pages. The rest of it is like the backstory for the Amazons, and it's good, I guess, but it's kind of boring. Something that I forgot to mention: Batman Year One was written, I think, by Frank Miller and penciled by Frank Miller, and then inked by David Mazzucchelli. They're the team that worked on a Daredevil story called Daredevil Born Again. I might talk about that later on in a video. And Man of Steel was done by John Byrne, almost all of it. Someone else did the inking. Who did do the inking? Dick Gradano did the inking, so... And basically all of these stories have at least a little bit of Marvel talent behind them, which might be why they're so good. Wonder Woman is not that good, honestly. It's like Hercules is like destroys the Amazons, and that's why men are banned from the land. And then it's like a contest. There's the standard Wonder Woman origin where there's a contest, and her mom doesn't want her to do it, but then she does it anyway, and she does it better than everyone else, and so she wins. Then it ends with this. Like, Wonder Woman's gonna go off and fight for man. It's okay. It's not. I don't like it. It's not my cup of tea. And next up we have Flash #1. This is not Barry Allen. Barry Allen died in Crisis on Infinite Earths, which, by the way, I made a video all about, which I hopefully will link in the description. You should watch it. And yeah, so Flash #1 opens. Flash is done by the art. Some of it, the penciling is done by Jackson Guice. Mike Barron is the inker. Larry Mahalstedt is the inker. Sorry for butchering these people's names. And Jackson Guice worked on Iron Man with Bob Layton and David Michelinie. So that's where I know him from. But Flash #1. Anyway, back to the story. It starts with him buying an energy bar and some lottery tickets. Sorry, he buys 6 Baby Ruths and a lottery ticket. Because when he runs, he burns off a ton of calories. So in this issue, he's always eating a ton of food. And he goes back to his apartment. The Teen Titans are wishing him a happy birthday. It's nice. It's sweet. The Titans who are there are Cyborg, Beast Boy, Starfire, Wonder Girl, and Nightwing. Nightwing and Wally are good buddies. And Wally gets a call. He needs to go to a doctor to run a heart to a heart transplant patient because it's snowing and no one else can make it. Well, they could make it, but it would be pointless because she would have been dead already. So, yeah. So he runs, and as he's running by, he sees someone getting, like, murdered on the side of the road. So it takes him a second to even comprehend what he sees. So he runs up and starts scares the guy away. Doesn't scare the guy away. The guy who's beating up on the random hides, and Flash is talking to the random, and he's like, "Who is the guy that was beating you up?" And he says, "Vandal Savage." And Vandal Savage is an old DC villain. I'm not sure if you know that. But then him and Vandal Savage fight for a little bit. But he remembers he has to run to get the heart there. And he makes it to the emergency room in time to get him to the heart, but he like passes out hard. And then he gets 5 double cheeseburgers at a McDonald's. like I said, he eats a lot in this story because he has such a high metabolism. And, yeah, and then he goes and talks to the woman whose heart he just ran and delivered. And he talks to her and he's like, hey, do you know who Vandal Savage is? Because she's a writer for history, I think. And he learns a little bit about it. On his flight home, some people try and take it over. He stops them very quickly because he's the Flash. But he's so fast that nobody even sees him. Then, again, the joke that he eats a lot. He wants 6 dinners. Then when he gets back to his apartment, he finds out that he wins the lottery. And then he sees a present on his table. He opens it. It's a heart. You're like, dude, what the heck is happening? And he goes to put his costume on, and Vandal Savage is there, and he's gonna kill him. And then the issue just ends, and I don't have the next one, so I don't know what happens next. And last but not least, we have Green Lantern Emerald Dawn, which is the story number 5. It's my favorite of the stories. I don't think it's the best. I think Batman Year One's the best. But Emerald Dawn's definitely my favorite. And I do think it's worth noting, Green Lantern in this story is a lot like Iron Man. I don't want to say he's unlikable, but he's not that nice of a person. The way it opens is he sees his dad die. Very sad. Then the next scene where he is an adult, he's drinking a lot at a bar. Then he goes on a joyride with his friends, and he crashes into a sign, and all of them go to the hospital. He's fine, but his best friend, who's named Andy, is not fine. He's in the hospital pretty bad. He's in pretty bad condition. It's not good. He he doesn't even know what happened. The nurse has to tell him, hey, you were driving drunk. I hate you because you were driving drunk. It's nobody gives him sympathy, but he's looking for it hard. And yeah, like I said, you don't like him that much in this story for parts of it. And he doesn't think it's his fault. And then he's in a pod. The pod goes crazy and breaks and goes flying and lands near a crashed spaceship. And in that crashed spaceship is this Green Lantern guy named Abin Sur, and his ring, and Abin Sur's ring goes onto Hal's finger, and he becomes Green Lantern right there. And then he goes flying off, and he's like, get me down from here in the sky, and he falls, but he is fine. And then he's like, yeah, and he's like, nobody cared. And then he calls his ex-girlfriend, and he's like, my friend's paralyzed me for life. But he's like, oh, the sign. It's because the sign was too close to the road. Goes flying through the sign, gets knocked out because the ring didn't protect him. And then in the next issue, he wakes up, and he goes to see his friend. And his friend's like, hey, I don't care what power you got, you need to turn yourself into the police. And he's like, no, the accident wasn't my fault. It's not my problem. I have stuff that I need to do. I can't. And then he scares a pilot because he's flying by him. And so he flies down and catches him. And everyone thinks oh, you're the best, Hal. But then the pilot's the one that's like, hey, this guy actually caused me to crash, so he just leaves. And then this giant yellow guy's a bad guy. It's worth noting that yellow is a color that is not affected at all by Green Lantern rings. Don't ask me why. I think it's just so that he's not the most overpowered character in existence. But the yellow thing is tracking Hal by using the ring, and Hal turns himself in, which is good. He needed to, and he puts all of his, and he loses all of his stuff, and yeah, and then the giant yellow guy goes smashing through the jail, and kills everyone, almost everyone, but Hal. By almost everyone, I mean everyone. And then he puts the ring on and is ready to fight, but he then grabs him, and that's literally, the issue literally ends with him grabbing him by the throat and almost killing him. And then in the next issue, he stops and starts, Hal takes off the ring right there, and the yellow guy starts going everywhere where he's been. He destroys Ferris Air, as seen here, and then he also he learns what the Green Lanterns are, but the yellow guy also goes to his friend's hospital, and he kills everyone, and he blows up the building. So Hal is feeling awful at this point. And then the Green Lanterns confront him and take him to OO, where the Green Lanterns are from. And Hal thinks he's stopped the yellow guy, by the way, because he dropped a nuke on him. No big deal. And then it's like this, yeah. All the Green Lanterns are kind of training Hal, and it's it's kind of whatever. And then next up we have the yellow guy, who Hal didn't actually kill because we got a nuke stopping him. And he comes to Oa and starts fighting, and it's not looking good for anyone because none of the Green Lanterns can't attack him because he's yellow. Their rings have literally no effect on him. So, in the next issue, what Hal ends up doing is I think it is in this issue. In this issue, he basically covers him in mud and then starts just wailing on him because he's covered in mud. He's a different color, and then the yellow guy here becomes an ooze creature, and is growing so fast and consuming the Green Lanterns, and no one can stop it. So in the next issue, Hal quite literally merges with the Green Lantern power battery, the thing that powers all of them. And he just kind of, he's also he was getting trained by the Green Lanterns in this issue. I don't know if I said that. I'm not sure how much more time I've got before my camera runs out of storage, so I'm talking kind of fast. And so then Emerald Dawn Part 6, they're all fighting and running and just trying to hold it off as long as possible, and they're not even making a dent. They can't do anything. So Hal's I'm gonna fly at the power battery, go into it, see how much power I can get, and it works. And he takes him down hard. And he's not doing well. And Kilowog, the guy who's training him, is he's a great Green Lantern, and he's yeah, I trained that kid. Yeah, that was me. I like Kilowog. But yeah, the Guardians talk to him hey, how did you do that? And he's I don't know, I just did. And then he goes to his, after he talks to all the Green Lanterns, he goes back and he pleads guilty to the charges against him from the car accident. And then he's out of jail, and he